Welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest, Paul Pugh, City Councillor from the Keller Ward. So at the break, we started talking about all kinds of stuff, and it's so interesting, Paul. I'm going to have you back again. But
Sure.
I want to come back to the poverty reduction strategy. So a lot of work was done, a lot of people engaging on it. What does that strategy say? Like, what are we going to do, and how are we going to move forward to actually make a dent in reducing poverty here in Thunder Bay?
Well, that's a very timely question. The strategy was only adopted by City Council October 21st or 24th, something like that, last year.
Okay, about 6 months ago.
Yeah. And then in the intervening period, we had the Christmas shutdown and all that. Since then, we have had a meeting with the city's intergovernmental committee, which is the one that is in charge with communications with other orders of government. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we want to do is advocate on issues that we think are specific to poverty in Thunder Bay. Mm-hmm. So we went to them and we focused in on, now this is advocacy, so this is not things that the city would do itself, it's things that the city will ask other orders of government to do. But we focused in on issues that were brought to our attention during the community groups. One is housing, and that I'm sure won't come as a big surprise to you, transportation, and then of course income. So on all these areas, we're asking the province or the federal government to undertake different things. Now, having done that, now we're going to be calling our the larger group together to discuss how the city can be active in some of these specific areas. And it was very clear that we need to, while we advocate the other orders of government do things, we want the city to be active in these things also, mm-hmm. to the extent that it can. So in terms of housing, it's no big secret that Thunder Bay has got a huge housing shortage, a very low rental occupancy vacancy rate, yep. Not occupancy, vacancy rate, and we need to start working in that. Now, in the course of all of our research and everything, we came to realize that there are possibilities that need to be explored, mm-hmm. and one of these is with the co-op sector. Another one is whether or not we can't somehow work together with the private sector to build more housing. And the city is the largest landowner within the city. Okay. So there's a lot of land out there, and of course this would require working with the planning department and lots of other people, so nothing's going to happen next week or even next month, but we have to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And we believe that the city could be involved in helping to solve some of the housing crisis that we're facing right now. And this will tie into what we know is coming, to the extent that the mineral section develops in the region. Thunder Bay is going to be even more pressed for housing, because we're hoping that Thunder Bay can be sort of a housing section or a bedroom for workers who are working in whatever mine they are, and then they would come back to Thunder Bay for the weekends or their time off from work. Mm-hmm. So this is not a problem that's going to go away, and it's not just a poverty issue, it's an issue. Housing is becoming a more and more serious problem for Thunder Bay generally. Now, another area that is very important for poverty reduction is transportation. And we are in the process of completely reviewing our transportation system, because the last time was in 2002. And at that point, the review was basically focused on making it more cost effective. Unfortunately, that didn't necessarily mean more rider effective. Mm-hmm. We need to look at making the system more rider effective, so that people who are in poverty and who need to get to a job, need to get to school, are able to access transportation to carry on with their lives in a normal way. Right now, with the system we have, I know, because when I was working at the Bombardier plant, I could get there in a fairly reasonable time, but getting back, it took almost twice as long because of the poor connectivity.
Okay.
And that's not a unique example. We got example after example in our group discussions, our community discussions, about how difficult it is to go from one end of town to the other because of the way the system is designed right now. So we want to, as we, I mean the poverty reduction strategy, we want to make sure that council and administration is fully aware of these problems and incorporates them in the ongoing restructuring of our transportation system, because that would make a big impact on people's lives.
So there's a lot of balls that the city council really has to juggle here, and the administration, different demands. Of course, one is cost efficiency, as you mentioned, but others is how does the service we provide make the city really work for the citizens?
And the two aren't contradictory.
That's
because
good.
just as in the example earlier about the SOS program, many times making services more available to citizens will actually be more cost effective in the long run, because to the extent that people can get to a job or get to school, they may be able to get out of poverty, and so that we actually end up having less expenses rather than more. Although in the short run, it may require putting more money into a program to get the thing up and running and providing the services that are required.
Well, as an advocate for people with disabilities, it's been clear for us, if you remove the barriers to participation, people will actually participate, and it will create new economic energy in the community. So what I heard is that the development of the strategy was a very engaged process, a lot of different groups involved in the city. What can now ordinary citizens or groups in the community do in order to help participate and help reduce poverty here in Thunder Bay and the district?
Well, I would say one of the first things a person could do would be to read the document, and that's available on the social planning website, which is www.lspc.ca/poverty. I'm sure if you go to Google, you could find it if you can't remember what I just read out, which I know I wouldn't remember.
We'll get it on the screen though.
Perfect. Oh, that's better. That's better. Okay. Now this document is the strategy. The backup document that has all the.
We're just about running out of time here, Paul. So.
Okay. The backup document has all the data for anybody who's data hungry, and that is also on the website. So I would say start with that. And then if you want to get further involved, contact me, contact the LSPC, because they're open 5 days a week, and they're accessible, and tell them that you want to be involved, and I'm sure they'll put you in contact with whatever agency, whether it be this one or some other one, that can help in that job, and everybody's welcome. This is a community effort. The City Council cannot do it by itself.
Excellent. Wonderful note to end on, Paul. Thank you so much for being our guest. I invite people to follow up, check out the strategy, download it, touch base with the Lakehead Social Planning Council, and see if you can't get involved. We always look for feedback on our show. You can contact me on my email address, smantis@tbaytel. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we hope you listen to us again next week. Thank you. Have a great day.
That's what we all gotta say.